Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day regardless of the terrible sell-off here from Solana. We actually had to close our trade early before it hit its stop loss in the 225, 220 range, right in that range there. And again, we lost that support, had to cut the losses, and at this point we got to find out how much further down it's going to go, right? Because we can see the price action did not bounce off 221, just continued straight through. Obviously, if you're not familiar with this by now, the reason why is because Bitcoin had a pretty significant sell-off yesterday, roughly about a 7% correction from top to bottom. I think it was 1015 all the way down to like 94,100. So again, that'll cause some problems for altcoins. In fact, most altcoins dumped super hard, and Solana was one of the few that didn't, even though it wicked down pretty massive. So we're going to talk about key level supports, new supports. Of course, we have to respect the fact that this previous support range is now a resistance range. So just know that that's kind of a little flipper doodle there where the price action just flips right around and that support turns into a new resistance. We can kind of see it was tested a little bit there, but never truly got that full on retest. So we'll talk about what that means soon. If you are new to the channel, just ask, hit the like button, comment below, get a chance to let us know your thoughts. Love to hear it. Absolutely. There's no bad thoughts, no bad comments. Well, I mean, there are of course some, but obviously, if you're not a malicious, ridiculous person, you'll probably say something constructive. What I'm getting at here is last 7 days, a look back for liquidation. We're going to focus on that first and kind of get back on track here. So what I want to discuss just really quick is the simple fact that there's not a ton of liquidation to the upside or downside on the shorter term timeframes here. Technically, at 221 to 225, we have that little range. That's, what do you know, just above that resistance level now of 220. So again, I'm paraphrasing. It's not exactly 220, but it's pretty close to that. Why don't we look at the last 12 hours, because this will probably be a little more indicative. We can see that reflected there, 218 to 222, okay? That's more so that resistance range that we're going to see potentially retested, but we got to bottom out first, folks, and Bitcoin has to stop bleeding out in order for that to happen. Since I analyzed Bitcoin, it went from 98,000 to low 95K right now. So again, it's on its struggle bus for sure. Solana's following suit. So let's go ahead and look at a few other things here really quick and kind of go from there. We got a pretty significant liquidation delta for shorts. So most of the market looks like this, at least the altcoin market. Even Bitcoin does too, but it's not like super severe yet. So just to give you perspective, Bitcoin's got a small amount of liquidation delta, maybe about 2 billion, which is pales in comparison to some of the massive amounts we've seen in the past. We've seen anywhere between 15 to 30 billion in long liquidation delta before. And the reason why that's relevant is because when you have that super high amount for too long, then it becomes a problem. At this point here, if we look at this, we can recognize that this, while it is high, it's only been for about 24 hours. So there's more propensity for the price to continue lower because of that, okay? So again, it's just kind of one of those things where it's not an exact science, but it is definitely, there's something to it here. So if we do take a look, we can see, of course, most people are heavy at 233. That's roughly where we took our long position for our leverage trade. It was a 5x leverage trade. We had to close out about 25% in the red. Generally speaking, that's where my stop loss is going to sit. Okay, most of my take profit targets are 20 to 50%. Either way, I have a different risk tolerance than most. If you're not familiar with that, read through our signals guide and our community there. But what I want to talk about here is the daily time frame and recognize some important stuff. So we're now under the 50-day SMA, at least for the moment. We haven't truly closed below that yet, but that's generally a bad sign. And what I mean by that is being below the 20-day SMA, which is this green guy here, of course, you can kind of see we had a lot of trouble getting past that as well. Kind of let us know that, until we break free from that, that's why I mentioned, 240 or higher, wait for a long at 240 or higher. And essentially, since we never closed above that, that really didn't provide us with any good results. Granted, every altcoin would have dumped like we just saw here, and every single one of them did. I mean, we saw like 30-40% corrections overnight for a lot of coins, right? So again, not trying to normalize this, but Solana actually held in there pretty well, all things considered. It didn't dump quite as significant. It was maybe a 5 to 10% correction versus a 20 to 30. So I'm happy about that for Solana, but that doesn't necessarily mean we just gotta take longs because of it. But the whole point of me mentioning this, I'm sorry, I got kind of distracted there, is a simple fact that losing the 20-day SMA kind of gives you an indication that, hey, we may be breaking bearish. Losing the 50-day SMA is almost a full-on confirmation of that, okay? So just keep that in mind until we get back up over the 50-day SMA. I'm not going to be convinced that a long position is viable. Even if we close above that today, I'm still going to want to wait for a little while for Bitcoin to bottom out. So again, you're going to find a lot more success shorting the market than longing the market right now. It's just one of those things where you can't and shouldn't do anything to the upside just yet. Buying these dips outside of spot makes no sense at all. Okay, and that's just because again, with this big old knee-jerk reaction yesterday, you cannot just buy into that. I mean, most people yesterday bought the dip, and now they're in the red on those dips because they failed to secure profits. Okay, and it happens all the time. So I'm just trying to let you know that's not a good strategy in this situation here. The best thing to do is to wait. In fact, I posted this yesterday too to my community. We saw a sizable correction. And this occurs, it's always best practice to wait 24 to 48 hours. So again, everyone who's in my community, and even those who aren't, just best to just kind of chill out and wait for a little while, let things calm down, and then get into the market once there's an established trend. Obviously, the trend is down right now. Don't get me wrong, but it's still, if you're a long person only, you never take shorts. It's not a good market for you right now. Okay, anyways, we're under 50 on the RSI. We talked about that yesterday, breaking under 50 on the RSI, and now that we're officially below it, it's just not a good sign. Okay, so we went from breaking an ascending trend to just flush the toilet. We're straight down now, and that's just kind of common. That's par for the course based on this kind of correction. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. It's just one of those weird little Bitcoin dominance situations where Bitcoin dominance shoots up, every altcoin drops down with Bitcoin. It was just a bad situation. Anyways, let's not cry over spilt milk. Let's take a look in the 4-hour time frame, see if there's anything to identify any potential shift in momentum. We're underneath every single moving average now. We're under 30 on the RSI, which is generally construed as a do not take a long position. In other words, you hold your short position open in these situations for longer because it'll probably continue lower. That's really what this is telling us. So there's that. Just make sure if you're shorting, you're adjusting your stop loss lower to ensure you secure profits, because we're seeing some pretty nasty candle wicks. And if you're not securing profits in this environment, folks, you're kind of doing it wrong, because I'm sure that there was a situation yesterday, I know hindsight's 2020, where you wish you'd had a stop loss in place. And a lot of folks were not trading with stop losses, and that's a true bummer. Anyways, 4-hour time frame is bearish, big surprise. Let's look at the hourly, same thing as well. Ichimoku Clouds confirming there is not a single reason here to take a long position. Okay, so if you were to consider a short, hypothetically, when the price comes up to 215/220/222, I have a few slashes in there because when we look here, again, I think the 218 to 222 could be swept. So if we do see a little bit of a relief rally for Solana, it gets into that 220 range, it would be very sensible to consider a short position at that time. We may not see that, but I'm just letting you know that if that does come to pass, I wouldn't be super secure in thinking that it's a good long scenario. It's probably not. Now, it'll probably change between now and then, don't get me wrong, because that may not happen for a little while. But if that happens soon, just say, for example, that would be commonly referred to as a dead cat bounce, and the price essentially would come back up and essentially reject, okay? So that's really what I'm looking for. Me personally, those kind of shorts I like to take. Unfortunately, we missed our short opportunity yesterday with AVAX and Bitcoin, because the price didn't recover quite as much. We were very, very close on our entries there and just barely missed it. Again, the whole point of me mentioning this is if that happens, that's a good area of consideration, but it really depends on when too, okay? For right now, shorts are in play. There's no reason to consider taking a long. If you do take a long, just make sure it's a super tight target and you adjust your stop loss higher as you get into profit, because you can't just take a long to the moon right now, folks. This is not the market for it, okay? All right, anyways, I have to say those things because a lot of people rely on, consistency, and I have to make sure that you understand that it's important in situations like this to not just flush money down the toilet. It's bad enough as it is. You probably got liquidated yesterday, or if you did, I'm sorry for that, but that's just par for the course if you don't trade with a stop loss. Stop losses are there to minimize your loss. They're actually your friend. You'll eventually realize that over time. Anyways, easy for me to say right now. We only had one trade open. We had to close early. So again, the important thing is to not use too many trades too. That's a conversation for another day, but make sure you're not over leveraging, or every single trade you take, it should be a small percent of your portfolio. You should never have to worry about your entire portfolio getting liquidated because of something like this, right? All right, anyways, enough conversation. Thank you again so much for listening. I hope you learned something. Join us over at Bitunix, folks. $12,000 deposit bonus this month. They're awesome. They've been great to us. No KYC or VPN required. Then, of course, I'll post a play out chart here shortly on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Look forward to seeing you. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.